So here is the TimeMaster Toro Timemaster 30-inch mower transmission. This is the second one that has failed in my machine. I tried doing a little digging around. I'd never been in one. There's a few videos online, but no one actually describes actually how these things work. And I've got a theory on why they're failing. So a couple of the videos talk about how they're a hydrostatic transmission, and how some of the guys are saying they're calling this a differential. That's not true. This is actually a very, very basic transmission. So for starters, some of the other videos that I see, people that tear these transmissions open, there's not much oil in them. This is not a Toro transmission. It is an aftermarket one. I got about 4 years of service, probably 35 to 40 hours of service. Not enough service. I thought it should have lasted longer. Some videos you see people that tear them apart and it's not got enough oil. That's how much oil was in mine. It's enough. Your oil is actually just the only thing the oil is really doing is cooling these clutches in here. So this is a clutch mechanism. Toro's personal pace system relies on slippage. In the TimeMaster 30, Toro is doing the variable speed right here with these clutches. There is no differential in these. It's just two clutches. On the smaller Toros, like the 22-inch push mowers with the personal pace systems, Toro achieves the variable speed by slipping the input belt, and you get wear on that belt. Here, they did a different design. The belt is not designed to slip here. Instead, what they're doing is you've got the fork, and there's a clutch. Your cable comes in here, and then this runs the clutches. There's two clutches in here. Pretty weak clutches and pretty small clutches, in my opinion. But this rotates and will force these together. So you've got two halves. So if I pop this up, give it a little bit of room, you got two halves. The input comes in here, and this is probably 15-to-1, 20-to-1 ratio gear reduction, and then you have another small reduction, not much. It might be 1-to-1 on the input shaft here from the engine. Reduction here through these two clutches. There is no differential. A few guys online have been calling this a differential. You look, there's nothing in the middle. This is a clutch surface against here. It's coned. This is coned. Presses up against here. That fork turns and just forces these two clutches together, and then it transmits the power from the ring gear through the clutches into the drive axles. And the way you get a differential effect is one side will slip more than the other. There is no true differential in here. It's not a limited slip. A limited slip in like a car still has spider gears and a true differential. This is the weak point in here. I have some, well, the reason they did it like this is the cheapest, most compact way to do this. These two fins fling the oil up and around and keep this wet, and helps pull the heat away from these little clutches. That is true. If there's not enough oil in this system, these will start to overheat and wear prematurely. Mine was slipping, and it always pulled harder on one side than the other. Even when this transmission, which is an aftermarket one, was put in, for some reason always pulled to one direction. And it would make sense if this clutch and this one are not exactly the same, and you get more, let's say the machining was off just a hair, or the surface finish was worse on one side rather than the other, it's gonna pull, because you'll get more slippage on one side than the other. I would have loved to have seen Toro offer us a personal pace version and done a 3-speed transmission in here, because this seems to wear out. It's just not heavy duty enough for the 30-inch machine. It's a little heavier because these are just failing way too early. The other thing is they're putting the clutches on the output shafts of this transmission. If you look, like I just said, this is probably 15 to 1, 20 to 1 gear reduction here from the input, from the engine through the gear reduction, and now you have clutches here and here. That means the clutches have to handle more torque with a lower RPM. In, say, a car transmission, the clutch is on the input side of the transmission, so you get higher RPM, lower torque. Then it goes through the gear ratios, and on the output side, it's higher torque, lower RPM. So this is the opposite of that. So they're relying on these clutches to handle a higher torque, and there's not a whole lot of surface area to that. They're kind of handicapped on how big they can make this. One way they could have fixed this, and I'm wondering if nobody at Toro thought of this, but you don't put the clutches here, rather put a tiny little differential back in this, which they have that design. Their regular lawnmowers have a little differential in there, but put this clutch mechanism, rotate it 90 degrees on the input side. Maybe have to make the transmission housing just a little bit taller, but put a clutch mechanism on the input side. That way you're clutching on a lower RPM, or sorry, a higher RPM with lower torque. Maybe that would get a little more life out of these. But that's not how they did it. It just smushes, that fork rotates, smushes these two together, and you're relying on the friction between the input side, the input, which is this, and the output, which is this, on both sides. And then it'll slip one side more than the other to get you the turning effect when you go around a corner.